something that is not old. It is kind of new, some passion I have personally. And we have a veteran, Dr. Bala. Let's look at writing through the ages, because to really understand something, why we do, looking at origins is always helpful. All of you recognize this device on the screen there? Be it an Apple device or an Android, it's a tablet, right? You could do a ton of things. You could consume information, you could compose music, you could send emails, you could read news, you could share information, and you could do a ton of things from a tablet. That is the tablet of tomorrow. That is a tablet of yesterday. It's one of the earliest tablet. Actually, the word tablet was used from something 5,000 years ago. So somebody took a Sumerian stone and wrote a poem about victory of good over evil. That was one of the earliest recorded. Unfortunately, they probably don't have such ceremonies back in the day for their tablets, neither their recordings. So we don't know who the author of that poem was, but that was the tablet of yesterday. That was the origin. But between the tablet of today and tablet of yesterday, somewhere along the line, books came into existence. That was the best way to share what is in our minds, in our hearts, the things we feel. There was only one way to distribute. About 200 people together are in this room, we have a good conversation and we leave. But once it falls into words on a book, it has the ability to transcend to many, many people and relive that experience. One more reason why this would be appreciated by Dr. Bala is one of the earliest documents ever picked up in history when they look at archives. Though we do not understand what it is actually a bill of sale. On a piece of paper, somebody wrote a bill of sale of a transaction summary. So the purpose of writing was to make sure when we exchange information that it is clearly on paper. The thing that was purchased, by the way, was a donkey. So it was proof that this is now my property. So property documentation became a way to formalize exchanges. In other words, our professors here would say it's accounting best practices. Get it on paper so there is no confusion. They took to one level above, the Egyptians, and started making it creative. This was a book of whole process workflow. This is thousands of years old and it survived. Look at that page. They have fully written an end-to-end workflow in a document that have survived so many years. So the foundational reason for writing was to exchange information or do knowledge transfer or teach, which is foundational to institutions like this. Then came the books. When printing press came in, including the ones we print, all these years still the same technology works amazingly well. I have a good idea, Dr. Bala has 1,000 good ideas, they get documented, printed and get shareable. Makes it such a wonderful way to exchange information on the books. Let's look at some people who actually made this popular. The guy to the left wrote the story of India, the story of Bharat. The claim is everything about life is in this book. Nothing out of this book is not there out of this book. It was called the great story of India, the Maha story of Bharat, the Mahabharata. Vedavyasa was one. That lasted so many years that we don't know when he was born. They almost put a 2000 year. It was almost saying that I was born between 1900 to 2100. But his story still remains. It's still here. After all these years, still there is an impact. The right side, someone from very place here created an amazing concept and put it on paper, and it created an infinite possibility. I'm assuming everyone knows the gentleman to the right. Right? These guys have made impact. If you look at the time, that one has thousands of years. This one is exactly 99 years ago, but we feel the impact of it. Why? Because it got on paper. Everything on his brain got on paper, and we are able to reuse it so many times. Familiar faces? One brought the whole Indian concept to the mainstream. One practically got how to run a kingdom as a business process, best practices, how to create unity in the country. He literally documented all of this. So he practically got all the rishis' documentation, compiled it, and created the Arthashastra. They used books as a medium to bring this together that can translate into many centuries, much beyond they are born. So practically all these people have become immortal. Agree with me? Now there's a creative side of it. So information exchange can only get interesting if it's used in creative ways. Dr. Bala picked the icon Rajni. We can talk about it, or we can put a wonderful few pictures. So from Shakespeare's to Tagore's, they converted this information into a creative form of exchange, which was even more interesting. They kind of lived their lives. If you think that guy, think about how many years? In 1600, less than 100 years. But the impact they left was arousing patriotic feelings, putting India on the map. He put literature on the map.
Where Swami Vivekananda, about 1893, gave a stunning speech to the world from Chicago. And there we had a great meeting, and in that great meeting I had a group of about 17 students to do a program called Technopreneurship, MBA in Technopreneurship, and we have here with you at least 3 of them. In the alumni meeting there were some more. But the most important thing is I wanted to make sure everyone needs a mentor. And therefore I tried to assemble from the Thai, the Indus entrepreneur, including Sam Pitroda, Shailendra Tipparaju and several others, who wanted to actually lead the students to action. And that is extremely important to me. And this particular evening is not to really talk about our book or what is in the book, but it's talking about your glory and your future glory. And he is right. If every one of you become a wealth creator, a knowledge creator, and a job creator, rather than a job consumer or a wealth consumer, this country, regardless of the politicians, whichever party they belong to, regardless of the administrative service people, whichever segment they belong to, but that will make India the superpower. What we are here is to show that. So just about this morning, I do not know how many of you attended the talk by Governor Rangaraj. How many of you attended the talk by Governor Rangaraj? Very good. After that talk, I just want to have him to say a few words about his impressions of our students, his impressions of everything. And I am very proud to tell you, as of February 17th, today is 18th, even if February 16, 17, there are only 2 students out of the entire PGPM class are looking for a job. And I bet you before I leave, that is on 22nd of this particular month, they will get that two also get a job. Is that possible out of something like 419 students? I know the PGTM students, about 2 or 3 are looking for that. And I am positive something magic is happening. That is not a coincidence, that's not a randomness. It is a dedicated work by all the students who are assembled here, all the faculty who are partly here and partly not here, all the staff, the whole united group of one mission. We are different, therefore let's make a difference and make sure that that difference is delivered to the world, at least delivered to the India. And that is exactly the reason why such an amount of number of students with an amazing performance is able to be possible, because we are the trendsetter, we are the leader. Now I would like to hear, I want you to hear the reflections on Dr. Rangarajan, who is a person whom I view him as my mentor, in addition to the person who unfortunately died last year, that is Dean Don Jacobs. So I would like you to hear that, and then I'll continue my discussion. Go ahead.
I think the reason why we wanted you guys to be part of this book launch ceremony is not just for the sake of the book launch, but also understand that you might have a dream. You guys are probably in the early 20s and maybe no more than mid 20s. We have a dream. There's nothing wrong in dreaming big. There's nothing wrong in dreaming. And these are amazing examples of people who decide to dream big, who decided to take a risk in life, who decided to give up their daytime job, who decided that the idea they had was worth pursuing, and decided to put all their heart, mind, and soul into their idea, and look where they are today. And they're going to paint a beautiful picture in terms of where they started this journey and where they are today. So if there's anything I want our students to take away from this short meeting, it's about how it's okay for you to dream, and pretty much if you have an idea, all you got to do is put your heart, mind, and soul, think positive, and go on this journey. You're definitely bound to succeed. Thank you. Shailu?
Launching books, but thanks for sharing those words. It's truly inspiring. So let's launch under the auspices of Dr. Bala, book called Reflections. I hope this will serve the purpose of what we began the journey with. Thank you so much.
We are going to do much more than this. We are launching your book. Please note that it is your book, not my book, or his book. There's a lot of spaces. So when you reflect, as we said in that, passion with compassion, abilities with humility, mobility is extremely important, but with nobility, and success with integrity. With that, you can definitely create a company, and we will help you to make the company thrive. And I want to thank the guy who designed this, executed that, and we are getting the credit. The person really should get the credit is Anand. Please come on here.